watching the chamber tonight, I'm sure all of us are quite ashamed of how the tone of this evening's meeting has already gone so downhill in 28 minutes. But the merit of this report is some of the things that Thurrock does do united and together, and hopefully everyone will adhere to that as we talk about this more in the debate. And the question is, Madam Mayor, is what sort of place and borough do we want Thurrock to be? What sort of place do our residents fairly expect? What sort of place do our community groups want to thrive in? What sort of borough enables aspiration? A place where people can work hard, can get on, establish a happy home to live, work and play. Do we want heads to turn toward Thurrock, Madam Mayor, rather than away from us? There can be little doubt that Thurrock, as a place and a council, are in a better place than where it was decades ago. And as we get better at the little things and the big things, it is time we raise the bar, expect more, push ourselves harder than ever before. I have always believed Thurrock can be, and should be, better than what it is today. I honestly believe that despite all the narrative tonight, it's the reason that 49 of us stood for election. We believe in a better Thurrock. None of us are elected to preside over the decline of a borough, which should be so much more. If you look at this borough and go mad thinking how much better this place can be if we all work hard and together, then your aspirations are in the right place. It is time for Thurrock to move from survive to strive. Under Labour leadership in 2010 and 2012, a refresh of the corporate priorities and values of the borough, not just of the civic office's priorities, Madam Mayor, but the entire borough, was completed, shaped with public input, council input and input from the voluntary and community sector. It reflected the times. It was one which the Conservative Party was happy to support and live by. Our borough has changed much in 6 years. Much has been done to advance these objectives. Some are completely done, some are work in progress, and some have moved on entirely. And the question tonight is, are the priorities of yesterday still our destination for tomorrow? No, of course not. We're raising the bar. Have we created a great place for learning and opportunity, as the previous priorities would have us say? Yes. Thurrock has, our education in Thurrock has never been more prosperous, more available, more diverse. So tonight, Madam Mayor, I'm proposing a vision refresh for the whole borough. One that followed the engagement principles of the previous piece of work. One that will help make Thurrock the place it should be, could be, and will be if we stand belt and braces pushing Thurrock forward. The proposed vision is all about driving, striving and thriving. Striving not to just make do and get by, but by going up a gear and delivering benchmark customer services right first time, which is collaborative across every agency for the betterment of the Thurrock constituents. Driving a local economy where businesses invest and in return our residents are able to gain wholesome employment and enjoy living in a borough where they can happily live, work and play. Thriving, to become a borough which works for everyone. A co-joined, uniform, aligned, hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip, set of people in and out of this council taking Thurrock to a better destination. The vision adds an element of pride of our history in Thurrock. We want to celebrate more of what Thurrock is and what Thurrock's going to be. It will unashamedly take advantage of our geographical position, that economic epicentre between Essex, Kent and Thames Estuary and London, to advance our borough aspirations. Let's be frank, and I've said it 1,000 times before, if this borough can't match all those things up, there is no borough that can. This borough can become so much more, and this vision would be a guiding light to get into that destination. That is the mission at hand, and I hope that we'll have unilateral sign up to achieving what must be done. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor John Kent, as Chair of the Corporate Overview and Scrutiny Committee, do you wish to speak?
Madam Mayor, I think when it comes to something like setting or reviewing visions and corporate priorities, we need to look at two things. One is the process by which you arrive at the vision, priorities, and the second is what the priorities actually say. Now, we've heard an awful lot from Councillor Hare about working together, but this has been an example of anything but working together. The first that members of this council knew of a review of vision and priorities was when it appeared on the agenda for the Corporate Overview and Scrutiny Committee in December. At that meeting, we asked where the idea of setting new vision corporate priorities came from. It wasn't a resolution of this council. It wasn't a decision of Cabinet. So where did it come from? It's been imposed top down. Councillor Hebb spoke about when priorities were previously set in 2009-2010 under the then Conservative administration, refreshed in 2012, refreshed again in 2015. For each of those exercises, it started with workshops of members and workshops of the public. Tonight is the very first opportunity that the majority of members in this chamber will have had to take part and input into this process. And I think that is just plainly wrong. And the Corporate Overview and Scrutiny Committee also thought that that was wrong. And we then look at what the proposal actually says. And I have to say that striving, driving, it genuinely sounds to me as though somebody's come up with what they think is a really good strapline and then tried to fit vision and priorities around it. It's as though it was written, Madam Mayor, by David Brent. I mean, it's just full of jargon and buzzwords. One of the things that Councillor Hebb spoke about was education, and he was magnanimous enough to accept and to say that education in Thurrock has improved greatly over the last few years, which it has. One of the reasons it's been able to improve was that in these vision and priorities, we made education and improving education an absolutely measurable priority. We say that every place of learning should be at least good by Ofsted standards. That isn't in the new vision and priorities. And frankly, if you don't really focus in on measurables, you will fail. And there are very, very few measurables in the vision and priorities that we have before us this evening. So I'm afraid, Madam Mayor, that from my point of view and point of view of the Labour group, unfortunately, and I do think it's unfortunate, we will not be able to support this refreshed vision and priorities this evening.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Snell, do you wish to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Kent has said a lot of things that I might have otherwise have said. Jargon. I mean, I've been a quality assurance manager for my company for 20 odd years, and one of the things I've strived to do over 20 years is strip it of all the jargon, and you know, I can't stand the stuff, and this is full of it. Striving, driving, thriving. It's a buzzy catchphrase. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't do what it's supposed to do in my eyes. And I can't work out whether this is a thing just for the council. Is it meant to include the people? I think it doesn't focus on anything. But the thing that I dislike most is we keep hearing from survive to strive. Well, I've been here a few years now, and we've not just been surviving. We've actually been doing okay. We've been driving this borough forward. You know, this borough didn't suddenly start leaping into action when the Tories came into power. It's been doing a great deal before that as well. So I kind of take exception to being told that, you know, before now, we've all just been languishing, minding our own business, not doing very much. So, from my point of view, we certainly won't be supporting this renewed vision. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Do any other members wish to speak on this report? Councillor Beckham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's a bit disappointing to hear that right at the beginning of my administration I made very clear that I'll go through a process where things will go through overview scrutiny first before coming to Cabinet. The reason for that is that's what the whole process was set up for. You know, it's not down to Cabinet to make a decision and then overview scrutiny to sit there and pick it apart and stuff. I think they pick it apart before, so when we take it forward as a proposal, it's actually fit for purpose and ready to go. And that includes setting targets and measurables. It's sat in front of the leader of the Labour Party as the chair of overview scrutiny, down to him to actually step forward and do the job and say, why are you not doing this? How are you going to measure that? Actually, if you're not going to measure it, why don't we do this, this, this and this to measure it? And I've got to say, I do agree with Councillor Snell quite strongly about jargon. It does drive me mad. A bit of plain English every so often isn't so bad. I But I'm sorry, what's not plain English striving for quality? You know, we aspire for quality. Are we now to just dumb down everything? No, we should be striving for quality. We should be doing the same for growth, and indeed for education. And as was already said, at least Councillor Head admit the fact that there was an improvement in education in Thurrock over the past few years, and nobody can deny that. But our vision also says that that's going to continue. And back on to, as I just mentioned, about we weren't languishing about, you know, we can start leaping forward under Conservatives. No, quite right. We weren't languishing about. We have moved forward. The world has changed. We've come from coming out of a recession to now where there's a significant amount of growth and improvement in Thurrock. And we need to capitalise on that. We may not have been leaping forward in the past. We certainly weren't languishing, as Councillor Snell quite rightly said. We were moving along. But this is that leap forward. This is going from moving forward at pace to really leaping forward at pace. So I will be supporting it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Duffy.
Thank you. I think it's quite ironic hearing Councillor Gledhill talk about how under his administration the ONS committees have been listened to. Nearly every recommendation that's come out of the ONS committee I sit on has been ignored by the Cabinet. And to hear Councillor Head talk about how it's really important that we all work together, if there was actually any interest in working together, we'd have had the committee system in Thurrock by now.
Thank you. Councillor Gerrish.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I too will be opposing this item this evening. I think while the current vision and priorities for Thurrock are not perfect, they do efficiently summarise the kind of Thurrock that we want and the key pillars for achieving it. The proposed one seems to say less than 133 words than the current version manages in just 47. It's overly verbose, some of the phrasing is awkward, some points are repeated, and at times it feels like we as a council could deliver no services at all and still achieve the proposed vision that's been set out. But I don't say that we should never refresh our priorities and vision, but this clearly needs a lot more work. Madam Mayor, if we compare the two documents, the current is Thurrock, a place for opportunity, enterprise and excellence, where individuals, communities and businesses flourish, compared to the new proposed and ambitious and collaborative community, which is proud of its heritage and excited by its diverse producers and future. Now, to me, that's not a step forward. It feels like we're narrowing the ambition for Thurrock, not growing it. If the administration is keen to refresh the council's vision and priorities, let's build a new working group drawn from all the parties and set down something inspiring over the next year. A vision for the council is at its best when it's a genuine and cross-party reflection of the Thurrock that we want to build. We've come to that consensus before, regularly, and I think we can again, but I think not tonight, Madam Mayor, and not on these proposals. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Joe Adrice.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, like some of our colleagues in the UKIP party and my colleagues on the Labour side, I find it extraordinary. We chair a Housing Scrutiny Committee, we send off a recommendation, and that's all we can do, recommend. We know that, that's the Constitution, and it's totally ignored. And that's why there's frustration in our chamber this evening. It's sad. I was with a resident this evening, and she's going to be affected by this charge, this communal charge, because she's in a block of flats that's been decommissioned, which is fine. That's, you know, these things happen. But she wonders how she's going to pay £8 to £10 a week, and that's the rub.
Councillor, sorry, I know it's a very important
Yeah,
subject.
I will stick to it, Madam Mayor, and that's the rub this evening. I think people would go along with this if the whole council were actually involved. So I would say to you, Councillor Gledhill, let's have the workshop that's been suggested. Let's really push this together, and let's look after our elderly. I'll defer to your, was it Councillor Head?
Are there any other members that wish to speak on this item? Councillor Holden.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'm very likely to disagree with Councillor Gerrish. I think to a degree you're being nitpicky. You're talking about you're confusing vision with tactics. So you're talking about individual words. The tactics for how we achieve things lie underneath. Now the landscape has changed from when the last vision was put in place. When we had only a third of our primary schools rated as good, when you were the cabinet member, there was a broad vision that required a united focus to ensure that we take all schools to good or outstanding. We're now in a different world. If we're quite honest with ourselves, the most probably underdeveloped muscles in the Thurrock education landscape are post-16. No longer requires a single vision of good or outstanding because we have achieved that. But you're talking about individual tactics underneath. There are many, many tactics, frankly, that your benches on the Open Scrutiny Committee have never actually directed questions at me for those things. But this is the overarching vision. Now, the vision, certainly from the point of view of my portfolio, bringing education and employment together, is the right one. What you're basically saying is you want to basically, as Councillor Rice attempted to do with his detailing of the consulting charges, to detail individual policies. So as a part of the vision, do we need the action that I took to attempt to intervene in East Tilbury with the possible closure of the medical centre and to try and save it? No, that doesn't need to be in the vision. What is in the vision is high quality, consistent service delivery. That is the vision. Underneath the tactic was the intervention that this administration is trying to achieve. I think, quite frankly, you've gotten to the stage, and I empathise with where you are, that you're somewhere in the region of 20 points behind in the polls. You want to deal us a bloody nose, so you've decided you can't beat us on a petulant motion about children's centre reform. You can't beat us on a petulant motion about NHS reform in last full council. So you've decided, let's try and beat them on the vision by being nitpicky about the words. It's terribly petulant.
Thank you. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Hare, would you like to sum up, please?
I would, Madam Mayor. A very interesting debate. If I address the first points raised by the leader of the Labour group, keen not to mention names. Consultation. You only have to read the paper, Madam Mayor. Item 2.3 down to 2.6 and 3.1. It articulates in no uncertain terms how we have reached out to communities and councillors to contribute to what this vision looks like. The important one, and I've said it before and I'm going to say it unashamedly again, in many ways I couldn't care less what 49 of us in here think. I give a monkeys about what people out there think. The resident survey was designed and the input that we got from that fed directly into this proposed vision. That's what I want to listen to, not a load of nitpicking from in here. Now, we've talked about members' oversight, Madam Mayor. At Cabinet, I presented the paper only 2 weeks ago tonight, I think, wasn't it? Was there any questions? No. None. So clearly people weren't that bothered, except there's a camera over there where people want to make a nice point. There are virtues of going in public. Instead of living in the past, I mean, we've already gone back to the 1980s already. We're now staying back in 2012. Madam Mayor, I want to be talking about Thurrock in 2030. I don't want to keep thinking about where we've been. I want to think about where we're going, and more importantly, where the generation of our next people, our children and our grandchildren are going. But unfortunately, the Labour Party continue to show that they are nothing more than a party of divide and a party of the past. In terms of measurables, addressing another point by the leader of the Labour group. Measurables. Has anyone read the old vision? It starts with words like encourage, create. That's not measurable. Going back to Councillor, the leader of the UKIP group's point around measurables and quality assurance. There's things called smart objectives. A smart objective is delivering high quality education, and an education to help everyone fulfil their potential. A lot more than create, enable. What rubbish. If you're content with that, then, it just astounds me. The big things, Madam Mayor, this Conservative group in Thurrock always supported Thurrock Labour when they was in administration. Local development framework, local development order down the LD Gateway site, we always stood shoulder to shoulder, because sometimes politics needs to be put aside and we do the right things. So moving on to Councillor Snell's point around survive to thrive. Councillor Snell, you haven't been here long enough to know what 6 years of Labour was like. All we heard was that there was this axe hanging over the taxpayer, that critical services were going to be cut day on day. This man inherited the same budget that Labour created last year. Not only have we brought it in balance, we have put more money onto the front line through clean it, cut it and fill it in a way that Labour never ever would. Who remembers the grass uncut? It's cut now. Who remembers all the potholes? By 2018, every pothole in Thurrock will be filled. But Madam Mayor, Madam Mayor, I think the opposition have come up with a good point tonight, and as this is report, and I understand that this is my democratic liberty to undertake, I would like to change my recommendation tonight. I would like to propose a recommendation where a working group review the work that's already been undertaken to explore, digest and create a vision which is going to put Thurrock on the map in 20, 30 years' time. I don't know what that wording looks like. I'm looking at the monitoring officer for that guidance. But I will listen, I will reflect. Good idea. Let's do it. Perhaps I could have some guidance on what that looks like, please.
Thank you, Councillor.
Madam Mayor, Madam Mayor, the proposer has the right to submit to the meeting that he can alter his motion or recommendation. It's already been moved, so it needs the consent of the seconder. Well, there isn't a seconder yet, but he can submit that for alteration. We just need to agree a precise form of words. And then the meeting as a whole needs the consent.
Okay. Councillor Hare, do you have some wording to change the recommendation that can be then?
I'm not known for saying things in 30 seconds, but I'll have a good go. Hence the vision, Councillor Gerrish. We defer the recommendation to a working party to continue the piece of work already undertaken on refreshing the vision and to report back to full council in due course. Does that work? Because that's cross-party. I believe it's already been cross-party, but let's do a bit more of it.
Okay.
You have to try and structure that, David.
Right, do members understand the change to recommendation? Okay, can I ask, are members in agreement with the... Do we need a seconder first? No? Okay, that's fine. Can I ask, are members in agreement with the recommendation?
Yes.
Can I put hands up for those who